So let's move on now. We're going to finish up this interview with a call-in segment. This is favorite first jobs. This is where we ask the callers what their favorite first jobs are. And this is something that I got from Steve Gottlieb. He was a radio DJ when he was in high school. And he actually produced a show on Sunday mornings. So this kind of led me to ask analysts to what their favorite first jobs is. I certainly get some really interesting answers. So do you have a favorite first job?
Yeah, so actually what initially sparked my interest in environmental science way before all of this. In high school, I worked for an environmental organization that kind of went door to door asking people for financial contributions, sometimes support, sometimes signatures for certain bills for the New York State legislature. And I had spent a few summers working for the organization where I would go to random neighborhoods. I had no idea where I was and just go knock door to door asking people for money. I got all sorts of crazy responses. One person pulled a gun on me. It was quite the experience to be like 15 or 16 doing, but I've come a long way since then.
Wow, nice. All right.
Yeah.
So first on the line is Jeff. Jeff, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
In my early 20s, I managed a youth hostel in York, England for some time, and it was an amazing experience working in a different country and meeting people from all over the world. And it was one of the first times that I really kind of got to experience a world beyond just my little one that I had grown up in.
Yeah, I'm always fascinated about people in their teenage years or even in college going overseas and working and just getting that whole experience that way, especially if you're from a small town in America, to eventually make your way overseas and just experience the rest of the world. It's just an awesome opportunity. Are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm sorry.
I know. This is a talk show, so I kind of need you to talk. So
sorry. Yes, it is definitely very interesting. After I finished college, I went backpacking through Europe, and it was an incredible experience.
Nice. Man, we didn't even get a chance to talk about that. That was a whole segment in itself. Man, that is fantastic. I had a friend that did that. He actually was doing it by himself. And we were just joking about him that he was going to get mauled by a bear, that we would never see him again or anything else. And he was perfectly comfortable just going over to a different country and backpacking by himself. And that is something, I mean, I might do that, but I'm definitely having a guide and having a bunch of people with me and everything else, if that's what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, of course. I would not go anywhere where I needed to worry about getting mauled by a bear. I went to, I think it was 6 or 7 different countries, multiple different cities. I went with my girlfriend at the time, but it was an incredible experience. Got to visit friends, go to all different countries, islands, have all sorts of different food. Although I will say a few years ago, I was taking a trip to visit family in Australia, and I did a solo trip to Hong Kong one night. I had a 15-hour layover, and I got there at midnight, and I was like, this is probably the only time I'll be in Hong Kong anytime soon. I need to go explore the city. So I dropped off my bags in the hotel, took a shower, went out and explored the city completely alone, thankfully before everything that has happened in Hong Kong now. But it was just, that was the one time where I really had no bearings at all in the country. I just ordered an Uber to the there's a popular student area, a big social scene with a lot of bars at night. So I went out there one night and just kind of explored, had a great time. And that was my only solo experience, though.
Nice. Now, I wonder how many cameras you got on that night. I gotta believe
probably hundreds of thousands.
Yes, I gotta believe they have a ton. All right. Next on the line is Annie. Annie, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
My favorite first job, believe it or not, is when I was at FAMU and I got to be the Secretary of State in student government. And what that job was responsible for was meeting the different dignitaries that came on campus, meeting the different other SGA folks, planning activities for students. And that's how I really got into the big push for always wanting to plan activities or plan functions that could, bring people together and have people socializing. So my very first job on FAMU's campus, and I was paid through work study to be the Secretary of State. And I had a blast doing it because I met a lot of interesting students from other universities, met a lot of different people who would come on campus to either speak for our convocations, workshops, seminars, that kind of thing. I really do appreciate that because I think that gave me a good foundation in wanting to meet people and just trying to feel people's minds out a little bit on what makes society tick socially.
Yeah, again, in college, rubbing elbows with a bunch of either local or city, state government workers. And she said FAMU there, that's Florida A&M University that she's referring to. And that's in Tallahassee. So that's right in the capital of Florida. And that's dealing with all sorts of dignitaries. What a great opportunity.
I have to say I'm a little jealous of that because current president is also a Syracuse University alum. And while I was at Syracuse University, he came to visit for an event. And if I was in a similar position and got to meet him, it would have been incredible. I had to look on from outside as his limo drove by after the fact, but definitely would have been a great experience.
Nice. All right. Next on the line is Giovanni. Giovanni, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
Hey, I was a DJ and, I started with some friends playing some music back in the 90s. And then we started to, doing birthday parties, providing music for birthday parties, starting to rent equipment, starting to rent sound equipment, lights. And then it grew. And my highlight was being a DJ in one of those clubs in the summer. And for 3 months, practically I slept very little because not just I was responsible for the discotheque in the evening, but also responsible for all the music announcement early in the morning. So with very little sleep, I remember those great days.
Man, that's a great summer job as well. Man, my summer jobs were lame. I wasn't doing DJing at a club at all hours of the day and night, but sounds like that really took off too, faster than what he had anticipated.
Absolutely. That sounds fun. It's definitely a lot more exciting and exhilarating than my summer jobs as well. But definitely would have enjoyed doing something like that.
All right. Next on the line is Brittany. Brittany, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
My favorite first job was a cub. I was a covert underage buyer. I got to go in and try to buy alcohol. It was awesome. I had to actually use my real information, but to see which places sold and which places didn't.
Wow. How old were you?
15. I started at 15.
Man, yeah. So I always looked a lot older. When I was younger, everybody thought I was way older. So I would probably never pass for somebody that was underage. But what an incredible experience to go into a bar at 15 and try to get served.
That's pretty funny. Actually, one of my coworkers that I share a cubicle with now, she did the same thing when she was an intern for a police department in Long Island. It sounded like quite a fun experience.
Yeah, I mean, without don't have to worry about getting busted or losing your license. Just go in there, see if you can get served. So
exactly, and then you get some free beer if you do get served.
Yes. I'm sure that part's frowned on, but yeah, that's another way cooler job than what I had. So, all right, last but certainly not least, Liam, what's one of your favorite first jobs?
My favorite first job was that around the age of 15 or so, I was an umpire for the local Little League, umpiring like 8 to 9-year-old boys pony league is what they called it, games. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it, but I was not what most parents expected. I'm very little girl. I'm very short. And there were a lot of angry parents who got way too into these 8 to 9-year-old Little League games who would just yell angrily from the stands at every little thing. And looking back, it's pretty funny. But I really, really enjoyed that job.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get an understanding of how crazy Little League or youth sports can get, just open up the state law book wherever you are, and there's going to be chapters on specific crimes against referees because parents losing their minds, assaulting or berating referees. And there's all kinds of laws that you can break specifically against referees.
Yeah, that's quite ridiculous, especially considering it's Little League and children's sports that are not really that serious, but there's parents willing to beat people up and go to jail over that. It's quite wild, the society we live in.
Yeah, and I lead it back to some of these big tournaments, right? I knew a guy, he would spend his whole entire Saturday at the soccer field and his whole entire Sunday afternoon at the baseball field.
Wow.
And that was his weekend for about 3 months in the fall.
Wow.
You're already working 40 hours a week, and then you're spending 16 hours of your weekend there. So you can imagine when you're spending all that time there, not to justify it, but the fact that you're putting in that much time, you have certain expectations, and you're just losing your mind when stuff doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
But anyway,